It seems like it was just a few weeks ago that I was posting my way too early Heisman top 10 for the 2022 season. I've posted quite a few videos during the offseason, given my thoughts and who I think are going to be the Heisman contenders, with a lot of moving going on inside my top 10. Well, the season is starting this week, so that means it's time for my final top 10 Heisman list entering the 2022 season. Before we get to today's video, make sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. If you're watching this video, odds are that you love college football, and odds are you aren't subscribed to my channel, so make sure to subscribe to one of the best college football communities here on YouTube. Also, make sure to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that YouTube algorithm and helps share the video with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. Before I dive into my top 10, I would like to share some honorable mentions who just missed the cut. I think TreVeyon Henderson is going to be one of the best running backs in all of college football this season, but I have two of his teammates inside the top 10. Miami quarterback Tyler Van Dyke finished the second half as one of the top quarterbacks in the nation last year, and I think he follows that up with another incredible season. Oklahoma quarterback Dillon Gabriel has lit up the box score numerous times while with UCF, and I expect him to do that once again with the Sooners. We'll start today's list with someone who I believe is a newcomer, and that's Utah quarterback Cameron Rising. He quietly put together a solid season in 2021 for the Utes as he threw for 2,500 yards with 20 passing touchdowns and only 5 interceptions, while also adding 500 yards on the ground with 6 rushing touchdowns. Although there are likely going to be other quarterbacks that put up better numbers in 2022, I think Utah is going to be a playoff team potentially. If they go undefeated or have one loss and are in the playoff hunt, he's going to be in the discussion. We've seen in the past that your team has to be pretty good in order to be in the Heisman discussion. He's going to have plenty of games that are going to help his case as Utah travels on the road to play Florida, Oregon, and UCLA, while also hosting USC as well. Up next is the next great Wisconsin running back, Braylon Allen. I've talked about him a lot this offseason, but he's deserving of the hype. Last season, as a true freshman for Wisconsin, Allen rushed for 1,300 yards with 12 rushing touchdowns. Oh, and he did it while being only 17 years old. The first month of his season was essentially a wash as he had only 12 carries through the first 3 games. Over his final 9 contests, Allen averaged 135 yards per game. He rushed for more than 100 yards in 8 of Wisconsin's final 9 games and was getting better as each game went by. I think Braylon Allen has a chance to be the best running back in the entire country this season as an 18-year-old. The offense is going to run through him, so he'll have a chance to put up some incredible numbers for the Badgers. We have another quarterback who I believe is cracking the list for the first time in NC State quarterback Devin Lawrence. When talking about underrated seasons in 2021, he may be at the top. He threw for 3,500 yards with 35 passing touchdowns and only 5 interceptions. He'll have a chance to put up even better numbers this season. Like I mentioned with Cameron Rising, the reason I'm high on Leary is because I think NC State is going to be in the playoff discussion. I think the Wolfpack are the best team in the ACC, so they should have quite the season in 2022. Looking at their schedule, it's also a pretty easy one as their toughest matchup is on the road against Clemson. Granted, that's a pretty tough game, but with their really easy schedule, Leary has a chance to put up insane numbers while leading the Wolfpack to a potential playoff berth. If any running back out there is going to give Braylon Allen a run as being the best running back in the entire country, it's likely going to be Texas running back Bijan Robinson. He had a very impressive 2021 campaign, rushing for nearly 1,200 yards in 10 games with 11 rushing touchdowns. He also caught 26 passes for 300 yards with 4 receiving touchdowns. He's one of the best all-around running backs in the entire nation, and he's going to be the focal point for Texas's offense. Quinn Ewers could have a solid season, but I think Bijan Robinson is going to carry Texas this season and put up some of the best numbers among all running backs in the entire nation. The biggest question is whether or not Texas is going to be back. If Bijan wants to have a shot at winning the award, Texas will need to be in the hunt for the Big 12, not another 5-7 season for the Longhorns. If they're able to win games, Robinson has as good of a shot as any running back to win this Heisman. Up next is a quarterback who might lead the SEC in a number of categories in Tennessee quarterback Hendon Hooker. He threw for 3,000 yards last season with 31 passing touchdowns and only 3 interceptions. He also added 600 yards on the ground with 5 rushing touchdowns. I think Tennessee is going to have one of the better offenses in all of college football this year, with Hooker being at the forefront. This was a very impressive Volunteers team last season, and I think they have a chance to be in the SEC hunt this season. Hooker threw a touchdown in every game he attempted more than one pass. He had 10 games with at least 2 passing touchdowns. Now, I don't think it's out of the equation to expect him to throw for 4,000 yards and 40 passing touchdowns in 2022. Now, Tennessee is going to have to win more than 7 games, which I expect them to do. I think there's a strong chance that the Volunteers can win 9, maybe even 10 games in 2022. But then again, I'm higher on them than a lot of other people, but why not? I only have one wide receiver on this list, and the only reason I don't have him higher is because I have his quarterback winning the award. If not, this is a player who could seriously make a run at winning the Heisman. Jackson Smith-Njigba is, in my opinion, the best wide receiver in all of college football. Last season, as the number 3 option for the Buckeyes, he caught 95 passes for 1,600 yards with 9 receiving touchdowns. We all know what he did near the end of the season, especially in the Rose Bowl. He set a number of records in that game, catching 15 passes for 350 yards with 3 receiving touchdowns. He also had a game with 15 receptions for 240 yards and a touchdown, along with back-to-back weeks with 10-plus catches and 100-plus receiving yards. He's going to be CJ Stroud's number 1 weapon this season, and I think he's going to put up some insane numbers. I think he's likely going to surpass all of Devontae Smith's numbers from when he won the Heisman a few years ago. But, like I mentioned, it's going to be tough for him to win when I have his quarterback being the winner. A lot of people out there have Bryce Young repeating as the Heisman winner, but I think it's going to be extremely difficult, especially because I have one of his teammates receiving more votes. Bryce Young had one of the better seasons we've seen in recent memory in 2021, as he threw for nearly 5,000 yards with 47 passing touchdowns. I think he's going to be great again this year, but it's going to be tough to repeat those numbers. Even if he's able to replicate them, I don't think the committee will vote for him again unless the competition is truly weak this season. Maybe Bryce Young has an even better performance in 2022, but I'm just going to go with the odds that he doesn't. Like I mentioned, I think he has a teammate who's going to get more votes than he gets. Up next is Caleb Williams, but this feels like the boldest prediction on this video. He certainly has the talent to be one of the top quarterbacks in the entire country, but I really have no idea what to expect from USC this season. I don't think they're the best team in the Pac-12, and I honestly don't think they're the second best team either. I get that they added a lot of talent during the offseason, but this was a team that was truly awful last year. If Caleb Williams has a legitimate chance, USC is going to have to win around 10 games or so. Again, they certainly can, but that's going to be asking for a lot. He threw for 2,000 yards with 21 passing touchdowns last season while appearing for the starter in about half the season for Oklahoma. He also added 500 yards on the ground with 6 rushing touchdowns. Caleb Williams can very easily light up the stat sheet and put up some insane numbers for the Trojans, but his finish in the Heisman race is going to be entirely dependent on what USC team we see in 2022. Remember earlier how I mentioned I had another Alabama player finishing higher in the Heisman race? Well, it's linebacker Will Anderson. He should have been a finalist after the season he had in 2021, as it was one of the most dominant performances we've ever seen from a defensive player in college football history. In case you needed a reminder, he finished his season with 101 tackles, 31 tackles for loss, and 17.5 sacks. This man simply could not be stopped, and that's not going to change this season. Anderson recorded a tackle for loss in 12 games and had a sack in 11 games. I think he's going to replicate the season he had last year and maybe even improve on it. He's the best defensive player in the country, and if there's any player who's going to win the Heisman on the defensive side of the ball, it's going to be Will Anderson. His best shot is Bryce Young taking a major step back so he doesn't have his teammates steal votes from him. But that brings us to number 1, which hasn't changed all off season, as it's Ohio State quarterback CJ Stroud. I think he's the best quarterback in the entire nation, and I think he has the chance to put together one of the best seasons by a quarterback in college football history. In his first season as the starter for Ohio State, he threw for nearly 4,500 yards while completing 72% of his passes. He threw 44 touchdown passes with only 6 interceptions. Seems like it's going to be pretty crazy to top those numbers, but I think he has a chance to do it. In 2021, he threw for more than 300 yards in 9 games and had at least 3 passing touchdowns in 8 games. He's going to be putting up video game numbers in 2022 along with his Ohio State offense. If you guys couldn't tell or haven't heard, I'm really high on this Ohio State team in 2022. I think they're going to have the best offense in the nation, and I think they're going to have a chance to set some single season records. Well, that wraps it up for my final Heisman top 10 as we approach week 1 of the college football season. Which player on today's list do you think is going to win the Heisman Trophy? Or was there a player that I didn't have in my top 10 that should have been included that has a chance to win? Whoever it is, let me know in the comment section down below. Before you leave, make sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. If you love college football, then this is definitely the place for you. Also, make sure to drop a like on this video as well. It helps out with that YouTube algorithm and helps share the video with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.